It's 2022, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are extremely difficult to find still, and it doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon. Between a lack of availability and the general cost of living going up, most gamers find themselves being more thoughtful and cautious when spending their hard-earned cash on new consoles or games. This has led me to a question that has been swirling around in my head for a while now, and that's, how much does it cost to be a gamer? Xbox has done an especially great job of making Game Pass synonymous with value. The best deal in gaming is Microsoft's slogan, which I have a hard time arguing with. Of course, dropping down $500 is a rather large expense, but that only gets your foot into the door to playing the latest games. So I want to explore and break down how much does it really cost to play console games today. There is the cost of the console, games to play, and online services. I also want to take into consideration that the first year of gaming on a new console isn't typically the same cost as the following years. With over 100 million units sold, I will also be including the Nintendo Switch. First, let's talk about the obvious, and that's the price of the consoles themselves. Nintendo has the cheapest offerings, with the base Switch still selling out with its initial $299 price point, while being complemented by the more premium OLED model for $50 more, as well as the much cheaper Switch Lite for only $199. PlayStation has the highest entry point of the three, with the PS5 Digital coming in at $399, with the disc edition being $100 more. Xbox's Series S also shares the PS5 disc version's $499 price tag, while the technically more compromised Series S offers the cheapest option to get into 9th gen of home console gaming at $299. Now let's talk about services. Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft have all to varying levels gone all in on online services. While Microsoft is pushing towards services such as Game Pass and cloud gaming to become bigger than just the box in your living room, all three require a subscription to play with your friends online. Gone are the days of the PS3 and the Wii U where online gaming was free. Currently, Xbox offers Game Pass or Game Pass, and that's it. Well, technically there is Xbox Live for like $10, but at that point you might as well just get Game Pass. $10 a month gives you access to an always alternating Netflix-like library of games, while Game Pass Ultimate for $15 gives you all that plus Live Gold, EA Play, and cloud streaming. PlayStation has overcomplicated things just a bit with their 3 new flavors of PlayStation Plus. Essential gets you online with 2 free games a month, with some discounts here and there. Plus Extra is the same as Essential, but with extra games. As of this recording, nobody knows the entire library of games, but there's supposedly up to 400. If I had to guess, I think there's going to be a solid selection of good games ranging from the launch of the PS4 to newer titles that are just a few months old. As of this recording, it does look like PlayStation has shown off a few of these recent hits to be included. I believe there will be a decent chunk of Sony's first-party catalog available, but with no day one releases anywhere near in sight, at least directly from a Sony studio. We'll have to wait and see more, but even if they only offer half of all of Sony's first-party exclusives in the last 5 years, that would still have some value there. PlayStation Plus Premium has all the benefits mentioned from the previous 2 tiers, but with the addition of game trials and up to 340 classic games from the PS1, 2, and 3. As far as pricing goes from a month-to-month basis, Essential is $10, Extra is $15, and Premium is $18 a month. There is also a quarterly and annual option as well. Each tier offers the most savings if you spring for the annual option, with Essential coming in at $60, Extra at $100, and Premium $120 a year. Nintendo subscription services take a bit of a different approach over the other 2 companies. Standard Nintendo Online gives players online access with a small library of NES and Super NES titles for $4 a month. A 3-month plan costs $8, while an annual subscription is $20. Nintendo Online also offers a family plan for $35 a year for up to 8 accounts, which breaks down to less than $5 per person if you have enough friends. The second tier is also offered at $50 a year for an individual subscription, while the family plan is $80 for up to 8 users. The second tier also gives players access to a library of N64 and Sega Genesis games with several expansion passes to popular games. Now, with that out of the way, comparing Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo is very much an apples to oranges to bananas kind of comparison. These ecosystems have a lot in common, but they're also quite different. To keep it simple, let's start out by comparing each system in a vacuum as one-to-one as possible, at least to start. If 3 friends all get the premier console from each of the 3 manufacturers as well as the most expensive service to really get the most out of their ecosystem, then we'd be looking at these kind of numbers here within the first year. Now, who knows how many PlayStation users go for the month plan versus the quarterly or the annual option. From what I've seen, it appears that most subscribers opt for an annual option during some sort of sale, with the second most common option being the standard monthly. We'll assume the PS5 owner wants to save a few dollars and gets the annual option. A little bit of a difference maker, but hold on, where are the games? Well, this is where it gets a bit tricky to calculate, since how many games one buys a year is almost random. If I had a bigger channel, I could use data based off of polls, but for the time being, I'm just going to plug in some comparable numbers. Let's say your average player buys 6 games a year, 3 first-party titles and 3 third-party titles. You'd be looking to spend about $390 on PlayStation, $360 on Switch and Xbox. But one thing to consider is that if you're an Xbox gamer, you'll have all of those first-party titles included with Game Pass day 1, so effectively you're only paying $180 for those third-party titles. Fast forward to year 5 and we have some interesting numbers. PlayStation 5 comes in at the highest at just over $3,000, with Switch and Xbox $100 apart. Let's do another scenario where each user is trying to take advantage of each platform's cheapest offering while still having the option to play online, but this time we'll only do 4 games, 2 first party, 2 third party. PlayStation still comes out as the most expensive option, but you would also have the most graphically capable of the 3. The Switch Lite is the clear winner here with total cost, but you are giving up the option to dock. Swap the Lite out for the regular Switch and Nintendo still offers the cheapest price over 5 years. But I do think it's worth mentioning, out of the 3 options, you get access to the most games through Xbox and Game Pass. If someone was to only use their Xbox Series S for Game Pass, they'd only be looking to spend $1,200 over the course of 5 years. Assuming Game Pass stays the same price, but that could apply to all of these. If someone felt they could make do with regular Game Pass, they'd only be looking to spend $900 in 5 years. Of course, we can always take this further. If a Switch Lite user doesn't use online at all and only purchases 1 game a year, they'd be looking to spend $500 in 5 years. Now, I don't know how many of you watching would only want to play 1 game a year limited to a singular screen smaller than your smartphone, but it does seem in most cases if you're a light or casual gamer, you'll have the most savings by going Nintendo. While PlayStation is clearly not the cheapest offering of the 3, it may not be as entirely bad as it may appear. There are some X factors to keep in mind. For one, at this moment, we don't know how good the complete library of games included with PS Plus Extra is going to be, or Premium. If you aren't big into always playing the newest games day 1, then there may be some value here with the games that are offered. A second X factor is the price of games. While Sony is alone in charging $70 for their latest exclusives, it isn't hard to find them marked down after a few years, unlike Switch games which remain $60 well into the Switch's lifetime. There is also the whole world of PC gaming that is worth mentioning, but with such a large range of hardware and software pricing, I'm going to leave it out of here. Saving money on a singular console is great, but what if you're like me and you want to play the latest Mario, Starfield, and God of War? Anecdotally, I do know several people who own all of the current platforms as well as some that only own one, but it seems to me most of my gamer friends I know go for a dual console household. That way they can cover a wide array of games without too much overlap. One combination a lot of my friends have is the PS5 Disc Edition with a standard Switch. To keep it consistent, if that gamer mentioned bought 6 games a year, 3 on Switch, 3 on PS5, 2 of each being exclusives, we'd be looking at about $380 a year, with the majority of the costs coming in on services as well as the initial console purchase. Assuming that player opted in for the basic subscription on both platforms, we'd be looking at a total of $3,100 after 5 years. A more recent combination I've seen paired up lately is the PS5 with the Series S. By going this way, players would have their PS5 to play platform exclusives as well as certain third-party titles not on Game Pass, with their Xbox effectively being a Game Pass machine. In this scenario, I feel that your typical moderate gamer would average around 4 new games a year on PlayStation with probably 3 exclusives and 1 third-party title. Keeping with the value of Series S, let's see how a financially conscious casual gamer could match up the Series S with the Switch Lite. Out of the gate, the two consoles together cost the same price as a PS5 or Series X. For this casual gamer example, let's just say they buy 2 Switch games a year, maybe your annual Pokemon and whatever Animal Crossing, Zelda, or Mario game is out that year. Maybe this casual gamer isn't super big into playing online with their friends, they just have your standard Game Pass and maybe Nintendo Online that they got convinced to getting for Mario Kart and Animal Crossing during lockdown. All of that would end up costing $1,800 after 5 years. Not too bad when you consider how much it costs to build a PC or several other examples I've already listed. Getting towards the end here, let's just throw in a couple 3 console setups. For this first one, we'll lean towards efficiency. So standard PS5, Series S, and regular Switch. For services, we'll go with the base Nintendo Online, Game Pass Ultimate, and PlayStation Plus Essential. For the games, let's stick with 6, 3 Switch, 3 PlayStation, 2 of each being first party exclusives. All that would add up to $1,760 after 1 year and $4,320 by the end of the 5th year. Now, just for fun, let's do one more, but this time will be a little bit more of an impulse spender who lives life month to month. PS5, Series X, and Switch OLED with all the top subscriptions with the same 6 games as before, you'd be looking at spending a total of $2,176 after just 1 year and $5,480 after 5 years. That's an average of over $1,000 a year, and once you include accessories, forget it. I personally don't buy that many accessories for my consoles outside of an extra controller and maybe a charging station, and in the case of the Switch, a travel case. This generation, I do think most Xbox and PlayStation users will end up buying extra storage due to the out-of-the-box storage being minuscule for long-term use. To double the Series S's base storage, you'd be looking to spend $139, and for the Series X it'd be $219. If you want to cover your bases with 2 terabytes, you'd be looking to spend $399. That's quite pricey just for some storage. I spent $270 to add 2 terabytes to my PS5, with prices and storage options varying quite a bit. To keep things as consistent as possible, I left off accessories, but that's definitely a rabbit hole that adds up quickly that's worth considering. It's hard enough to account for how many games someone may buy in a year with that being a massive difference maker, but I did my best considering I don't have access to a large audience to pull, but I still think we learned something interesting today with these examples. Overall, between $70 games and the most expensive subscription service month to month without any day one releases, PlayStation is easily the most expensive ecosystem. That isn't to say you can't save money on PS5 by opting to buy older discounted titles or by getting an annual option of whatever subscription tier interests you, but we still don't know how many of the players will be able to depend on these new tiers of PlayStation Plus to get all of their gaming needs met, like Game Pass has proven to do. Speaking of Game Pass and Xbox, for a moderate to hardcore gamer, the Microsoft ecosystem is clearly the cheapest way to play the most new games. Nintendo has the weakest subscription service, but is also the cheapest, and to those of you who only buy a couple games a year, Switch is actually the cheapest option overall, regardless of which version you get. Of course, I'm aware that there are various other factors like discounted games, used consoles, discounted services, and all these other factors, but I do think this at least gives us an idea of how much we're spending. I may want to revisit this in the future, but either way, let me know what your setup is down below, or if any of these examples I listed describe you specifically. If you liked the video, please leave me a like, and as always, I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, see ya!